Welcome back to Dum Dum's 2099, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into a futuristic world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. Alyn, Honor System, and Declan are flying to the moon. Alyn fireballed one mech to death and ate the other's pilot. Honor System massacred the team onto the rocket, and Declan killed a guard captain and used their ID to shut the door. Can our heroes survive the cold darkness of space? Find out next on Doms and Dragons 2099.
Declan, Honor System, and Alyn, you find yourselves on the way to the fucking moon. This is where no dum-dum has gone before, and truly is a voyage to remember. You are in the cargo bay of the Cerulean Origin, having managed to get on there through second flamethrower-related intervention by Honor System, who managed to torch just a bunch of mid-level executives to make sure that you all were able to get aboard. This section of the rocket is sealed off. There was enough notice that as to what you were doing. You guys carved a rather blatant path to it, and as a result, the people above are aware that something boarded and that something went down. They don't know necessarily that it was you, but they have sealed off the hatch and welded it shut. So you are currently very much trapped in this space, but that's also fine by you because the goal is to get up there and stop Jacinda Bezos's greater schemes and aims on the moon. As just a heads up, dear listeners and viewers, I'm down with the baby plague right now, so you may notice that I'm talking a little quieter, and I may not do as many voices. To my fellow DMs out there, further proof that you don't always have to do voices when you're DMing. You can just do it however you want to do it, or however feels good. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing for these next few sessions. So please bear with me, and I will do my best to not just fully choke out midway through a show. So
now to introduce the new character, Gargle Throat Kablak.
yeah. And now the new villains who each speak at a completely different tone on the pitch scale. We're the pitch crew. Exactly. Yeah. Now you have to fight all the Von Trapps at the same time. In space. Anyway, so you are in the cargo hold, and honestly, obviously, Declan and Honor System, you guys hang out all the time, sometimes in each other's minds. So this isn't the first time you've had to catch up. But since Alyn returned to Faerun 2099, this is actually the first chance the three of you have had that's downtime. I will say this isn't particularly restful time, so you can absolutely spend hit dice, that sort of thing, but we're not calling this a long rest by any stretch because it is neither that long nor that restful.
Oh, I'll be using some hit dice. I can tell you
Hell
that.
yeah, me too.
And I will join in the hit dice
Dude,
roll.
really? 1d8 plus 1? That's it? Fuck, man. This is brutal.
I like when character and player are in accord.
Well, I guess it's better than nothing.
Yeah, so as everybody's kind of bandaging themselves up, Declan looking to say, all right, does anybody see any sort of space suits around? Because if they figure out how to open a door or blow a hole in a wall, the only one who's leaving here is Honor System. Or Alyn, do you have magic you can use that'll keep us inside some sort of atmospheric bubble if we get into space? Also, if this thing takes off, we might all end up pinned to the floor. I don't know how fancy this is.
I will say the rocket has taken off. You're now you were pinned to the floor for a moment or two. We're now you're now in floating, don't release the ants or the chips space.
Oh, sorry, I got really disoriented. I thought I was still pinned to the floor, but now I'm clearly floating. As are you. Alyn, can you summon air?
Hang on.
Not right now, but if we need it.
Alyn, as you look that up, looking around, there aren't full Evo suits here for proper spacewalks. But there are some emergency masks. You can almost think of them as the kind of things that fall off of, come down from above your head on an airplane if it depressurizes. So enough that if there was like an emergency, you wouldn't immediately die, but certainly nothing so hearty as what you're describing there, Declan.
All right, well, Declan will take like 2 of those for himself and shove one at Alyn.
I just want to. So I do have access to Liam's tiny hut, and it does say the atmosphere inside the space is comfortable and dry, regardless of the weather outside. Did that mean no air passes through the barrier?
Please make an argument for the vacuum of space being weather. I really want that.
I'm not saying it's weather. All I'm saying is that there's obviously
Liam's
no air
tiny space
exchange. There's no air exchange between.
Here's the
outside
question:
and
can you suffocate inside Leoman's tiny hut? Like, if you spend the full 10 hours, are you dead?
It's like a 10-foot radius. So
my understanding is it's like a little space-time bubble that kind of exists outside of things. And given sort of rules as written, I would be inclined to say that you could probably get a solid 10 hours of floating to your inevitable demise in Leoben's tiny hut.
So just hold your breath for a minute. It's casting time.
God, okay.
And we'll be fine.
All right, so Alyn,
Okay.
what you're saying is, if it gets blown open, we put the masks on. That gives us at least 60 seconds. Then you can build us a tiny hut in space that'll last 10 hours.
Correct.
Can we shoot out
8
of the little
hours.
bubble?
8
How
hours.
many?
8
Okay, that's
hours.
an important difference in terms
Yes.
of tactical planning. Can we shoot people outside of the hut from inside the hut?
Checks her mind palace for the correct file.
No, the hut is very much as those of us in Overwatch can attest. It's a shield
Yeah.
that goes up and stops you from getting pew pew pewed, but that you yourself may not pew pew through.
Yes.
All right,
correct.
can opponents who want to, say, stab us with a sharp thing come through the hut to stab us?
All other creatures and objects are barred from passing through
Yeah,
it.
it's a
So,
straight up
no.
it's vampire rules. Like
Yeah.
you could be politely invited inside, but otherwise no bueno.
All right, so if we force our way through all these security assholes and we get to Jacinda Bezos, we could, if we can get him for a minute, trap him inside this hut, and then we could kill him bee by bee over 10 hours.
8.
Wait, you can't really
8 hours.
You
Shit.
can't trap people inside the hut.
Oh, so he could still
People
leave
from
if he
inside
wanted to.
can move freely.
Alyn, do you know if your tiny hut is cleared for atmospheric re-entry?
I would say yes. I would say it's always comfortable and dry.
Okay,
That
so
is good to
So
know.
here's what I'll pitch to you in terms of this being an entry, an orbital entry.
I can't slow it down.
That's it. So
I'm just thinking about the weather, right? The weather can't impact us on the inside, including the abrasive friction of moving through the atmosphere.
right. And technically,
Unfortunately, momentum.
well,
and
no, because the
We're
ground
not
could just
affected
be
by
considered.
impact that
Yeah,
isn't really
no,
weather related.
not if we land in a desert, because that sand is being moved by the air. Sandstorms and solid sand often feel like the same thing. So I'm thinking we just got to land in a desert or the ocean, because that's just like rain, but it's settled down. This is how magic works, right? You say words and then I twist them to mean what I want and then they're real.
Speaking as a DM, that's usually how magic works. Yes.
I'm not. I can't guarantee anything, guys.
I understand.
So our fallback plan is blow everything up, ride Alan's tiny hut from the moon back to Earth.
I would say that's like literally a last resort if we are going to die anyways. Then this is may have slightly better odds.
Do you know how to fly a craft through atmospheric re-entry, Alan?
No.
Okay, I fucking don't. System, do you know how to pilot a craft through atmospheric re-entry?
I've never done it before, but I could learn.
All right, so we're like 50-50 on this. I'm hoping we could teach System to fly a plane or a space plane. I guess are they all rocket System? I don't know how it works with the naming.
This is not a space plane. I don't believe those exist.
Yeah, but what do you think it is? Is it a rocket ship automatically because it's in space?
This is a rocket. It is propelled by rockets, and it has propelled us into space. This is a rocket.
All right, so we're hoping to either ride this giant blue rocket back to Earth or find another rocket because System's going to teach himself to fly a rocket.
Can I ask why we're going to the moon? Why is this happening?
What? Like, we're...
So, sorry, just to cut in. This is, obviously, we've got some downtime, so this is a chance to get caught up. I do have some questions that I think I'd like us to get to, but in the meantime, yeah, Declan, go ahead. Explain why exactly the new future are going to the moon.
Well, I mean, to cut the long story short, we're going there because that's where Jacinda Bezos is. We want to shoot him until he's dead. So I guess if we kill the suit and that kills the bees, great. Otherwise, we have to kill all the bees. I don't know the bee-related sentience rules. But Jacinda also created a super weapon that destroyed the stack and then cities and things. And I think it's being re-geared to fire. So we also kind of have to stop this madman on the moon thing. He's also got most of the quality mages. This place is a fucking mess after you left, is the short answer. Bourbon Sherbert tried real hard, but then everyone died.
Yeah, no, he needs to be stopped. I agree. It's enough of a reason for me.
Okay, yeah, so that's why we're going to the moon. It's to kill Jacinda Bezos.
This is a mission that Declan and I have agreed we are willing to die for, but Alyn, I understand if you have other obligations, other things, other people to live for. We will do our best to keep you alive on this mission.
Yes, I mean, I need to be taking out people who are wreaking havoc and tearing holes in the universes.
All right, so we're all kind of aligned on this. So I know, well, actually, I don't. So I know I had something removed from my memory that Systems got. So that's being kept track of in general. Is there any other extenuating circumstances for anyone on this rocket that you may know? Like, is there someone you spotted at some point you don't want us to just instantly shoot in the face?
It seems that my mother equivalent, I didn't kill her, right? She's not dead. No. On this world, she seems to be pretty awful. I have no connection to her. I think you can kill her.
Well, see, my problem there is the word think, because are you 100%, or do you want to talk to her first?
I think more because of the moral philosophies that I grew up with probably are telling my instincts that I should maybe give it a second thought. But the fact is she's not my mother and she seems like quite a horrible person.
So you're saying that there's some part of you deep down inside that must illogically not want to kill your mum? Yes.
But it's illogical. It's fine. No. My mother is great. My mother is not here.
Okay.
I'm saying my mother's equivalent is not my mother.
I have an awkward question for you, Alyn. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
So could it be possible that is your mum just in a different outfit?
I mean, I talked to my mom not too long ago. Plus, I've talked to my mom since I saw her last when we were in the stack. Like when I went back to Faerun.
Yeah,
I saw my real mother.
Yeah, but you remember Xanthus? How Xanthus would hop around and do things to purposefully fuck with you? Like, someone could take your real mum, bring him here, blackmail her to work, put her in a different costume. Then you have me shoot her in the face. And I'm only asking because, have you seen this fucking torso? And he just lifts his shirt up and it's all misshapen metal body. He's like, this is what happened the last time I shot somebody's fucking mum and I didn't think it was cool. And it fucking wasn't, but it was kind of cool from the shooting. I don't want you to turn around and feel like you have to kill me because I shot your real mum when you thought she was your fake mum.
Okay, no, I know a test. So, yes, okay, we'll do a test.
Okay, this is perfect.
And I pull out a tiny whistle and I go do 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 do, and a tiny bird flies out of my cloak.
Holy shit. Well, who's this?
This is Richard.
All right, hello, Richard. I'm Declan. This
my
is
real mom, if she's a good person, will know Richard. If she's a bad, but if she knows Richard and she's a bad person, and that's my real mom.
Wait, so is your real
dear.
mum evil? Is everyone's mum fucking
No,
evil?
what I'm
Do you
saying
have any
is,
friends as
I
well
think
adjusted
that
parents?
the woman who I think is good, who is my mother, would know Richard.
Okay,
So if this woman recognizes Richard, then that's my real mom, and then we may need to pause for a sec.
I'd like to skip ahead one more thought, which is, does the bird, Richard, know your mum as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. Maybe we should let Richard make this call, because I feel like knowing a bird or being surprised a bird just flew out of someone's shirt may look kind of like the same facial expression.
She'll know his name.
Okay, so the bird pops out and we go, what's his fucking name? And then if she knows, we're good. And if she says Stephen or whatever,
I mean,
shoot her in the fucking face.
If she knows that it's Richard, then either my mother is living a double life, and that's not quite sure what to do with that, or the woman I saw reunited with was not my real mother.
Wait, so what you're saying is okay, let's fucking break this down even more simply. If she knows the bird's name, shoot her or don't shoot her?
I'd like to question her if she
See, I knew you
recognizes the
didn't want me
bird.
to shoot her. I was going to get fucking murdered because I shot your mum. This is good. This is good. We're figuring it out. It's been a while since we've communicated. I apologize. I got a little heated. We need to take her alive.
Unless this is my original mother.
Okay, can
and
you
that was
describe your
someone
mum to
else,
system?
That someone's different on the planet.
We got to do like
And so my real mother is actually awful and wouldn't recognize Richard. Oh, but then she's been... Oh, dear.
System, can you take over? I fucked this up.
I don't have a mother.
That is true, but we need you to... Can you help Alyn figure out whatever this problem moved into high-level mathematics that I'm not equipped for. I'm if the bird knows, shoot. If the bird doesn't know, don't shoot. Alyn, I think, has been lost in existential dread and possibility.
I will see what I can do.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be appreciated.
Alyn,
Yes, honor system.
do you trust the bird to know your mother?
Richard?
You can also roll a check for this.
Yeah.
Laura, if you want.
I would.
I'd say let's go with a forgive me, it's been a hot second.
Sure.
Mudbutt gifted you with, did he give you stats as well as ability, or was it just the berserk?
I believe it was just the spell, my spell rage.
Spell rage. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do okay, well let's just do this off. What stat do we want to play off of? This is one of those weird ones where, like, theoretically we would just use your old character sheet, but since we aren't doing that, let's forgive me, just pulling up the character sheet.
Come on, Tom. What do you have to look up does your bird know your mom's real check?
You know what's funny?
It's right on the sheet, man.
I was reading Matt Mercer's notes on good DMing, and he was like, you always need to be ready for this, always. And I was like, okay, Mercer.
Yeah,
not everyone plays at the level you do. And I was like, oh shit, everyone does play at this level.
Here's my what does the bird know D100 chart.
Yeah, I only had what the fox says up and ready, and it was completely useless. Laura, let's go with I'd almost be inclined to say like investigation, which is really just, or like it's sort of taking the place of like history here, and just kind of how does, I mean, because the funny thing about Little Richard is you've actually spent like
Little Richard, right?
Oh, I was gonna say you've spent little time with Little Richard, but you've actually had a lot of off-camera time.
Yeah.
So I think this is more a question of like searching what you know to be true of Little Richard, what you know to be true of your mother as you understand her, and all that. If you believe that Little Richard is up to this task, also not being a full-fledged Richard yet, you know,
right,
just on his way.
All right, here we go.
Hit it.
Hey, that's a 24.
Woo.
You are fully confident that Little Richard's got this. That he,
All right.
having received training at the hands of Mudbutt, and also having like just hung out with them when they were like courting and stuff, he should have a really good sense of her. And like you also just remember like OG Richard and how capable he was, and his great sacrifice, and kind of the not unlike Goblin Jr., just like a true companion. So you suspect that Baby Groot has the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think I gotta stop saying I think. Richard's got it.
Good, because
He'll know.
the mother that is on board this rocket could potentially be the extremely powerful mage we encountered in the stack, and we will not necessarily have the time or opportunity to question her before she magically eliminates us. And so we will be counting on things like perhaps an unspoken connection that your bird has, or that you have, with Little Richard. Declan and I have an unspoken communication. Subdermal communicator in my encrypted frequency channel, but it is still unspoken. It is very helpful in these kinds of situations, making decisions when our opponents do not know what we're thinking. Do you think you have a relationship like that with your bird or with your mother that we can depend on to make a snap decision on whether we should spare or eliminate her?
Alyn just says, give me 2 minutes to just clear my head and think on this. And she kind of, I don't know, floats over to like a little nook and just like kind of meditates on it. And
Honor system does not move, but
and
his visor has a digital clock counting down from 2 minutes.
And I think on why I'm here, why I came back, what's the purpose? And really, my goal is to help repair portals between the worlds and to take out people who have been disturbing everything and tearing up the universe. And I think I decided a while ago that the world would be a better place if all the assholes died. And I think this woman, regardless of who she is, I can come to no other conclusion than the fact that she is one of those assholes. So I kind of grab the walls and kind of push off, because this is really awkward to kind of move around, and I get myself righted, and say, if there's a chance to talk, I'll take it. But if getting that chance risks our mission, you can kill her.
Understood. And I'll relay that to Declan as well.
Say Declan's like, so if the bird gives me the nod, I take the shot?
We're leaving this up to Alyn. Our default execution is to attack with intent to kill. However, if an opportunity presents itself for a dialogue, Alyn would like to consider it.
Honor system's got it.
All right, that works for me. He just like finishes putting his rifle back together, having just cleaned it, and he's ready to go. But awesome. I feel like I may have other questions, he thinks to himself aloud.
He does indeed. Good out loud thinking. So given you've obviously covered a couple of pretty major concerns. The first simply being what happens if they try and vent the space, and also kind of how you're going to deal with re-entry and that sort of thing. you have determined that you need to take out Tiana Lian. I can never pronounce this. Lianadel, the administrator, once and for all. And obviously, you're still going after Jacinda, which is, of course, priority number one. That said, Alyn, as I said, you have spent a bunch of time off camera. We've gotten to catch up with you a little bit, but you haven't really had much of a chance to deal with Declan and Honor System. I think this sort of clear focus of repair the portals and kill the assholes is a pretty solid. I was going to kind of go through what everyone wants in touching base, but it seems like you've all already done that. I think as you continue to kind of travel through space, and we'll assume, of course, that you're all like making small talk, except for probably Honor System throughout this whole time anyway. But the two questions I'd like you each to answer for me as we kind of have our final spell of downtime with all of you before, shit gets awfully real. One thing you want your party members to know, and what you'd like the future to look like. We've established that the new future has collapsed. It's become the very thing you hated. Alyn, you had a lot of difficulty leaving this world to return to Dumfeyroon, and then had a huge crisis of faith in Dumfeyroon when Butthole died at the hands of the Technokraken, and you were unable to assist. So you're now kind of in an odd space where what you'd hoped would change didn't. Alyn, in your case, you found new purpose in Dumfeyroon as Mistress of the Raven Gates. But here you are in the future. But I think particularly for Declan and Honor System, this is very much like, and you determined this before you began your assault on the orbital platform, or the launch pad rather. This could well be a suicide mission, and you're also attempting to wipe the board clean again. So I'm curious, in this new world, as you, again, in your idle time, what you think the future will look like, or what kind of future you're aiming for with the destruction of Bezos. Or Bezos, rather, because Bezos is an entirely separate, for legal reasons, entity. So these don't need to be like hugely long things. I'm just curious to kind of make sure that all the characters are on the same page, and also just give you all, again, one kind of last downtime chat before we launch into into the assault on the moon.
I think Declan would start cleaning his pistol, because he's just had a bunch of things in his rifle. Like, he's had a bunch of different weapons that have all been fired, so he's got to clean all those while he can. And 0G makes it so much easier, because you can really take it apart, float the pieces around, see all the angles. There's none of that annoying gravity to deal with. But he'd sub-vocalize and be like, I've been doing some thinking system about the future for us. We're not really builders, I don't think. Like, I don't think we're going to build a brilliant new city or find some future sort of government we can design and then put into place. We seem to be good at, like, breaking the bad things. Does that feel right to you?
Yes. Yes, it does.
So I can kind of see, like, 3 ways forward in my head. And if you've got more of them, please feel free to share. I'm not trapped in any of these plans, but I can see us, blowing this fucking giant. Okay, 4th way, we die, we fail, we succeed, and also die. That's fine. There's no future after that. We all go to the grand nothing, holding hands, and it's going to be interesting. But we can blow up this fucking thing in the sky and go back down and probably wait for some other evil organization to show up and then fight them and repeat ad nauseum, because this world seems kind of fundamentally broken at some level and there's no actually good authority. Or we take over the space laser and you and I sit up here with a mega weapon and we say, figure out some shit that's good. And if you do too much bad, we fucking blast you. And we use the Bezos gun to make sure the world doesn't become a shithole, because we'll be in charge. Or we sort this out. Maybe we go with Alyn to this world that sounds a lot less broken.
I have been experiencing a conundrum or an irregularity. I know that I am 100% committed to the destruction and dismantling of oligarchs and the corporations. And I understand that you and I will die to see that done. I am 100% committed to that. However, and this is the part that I am struggling to reconcile with, I've run a debugging protocol a few times because it does not make mathematical sense. If I am 100% committed to that cause, how can there be an increasing percentage of desire towards abandoning that if it means that you and I get to live together? If it means that we do not die?
Well, it sounds like you're approaching a more traditional form of human sentience, and that we are all incredible paradoxes. Because, I seem rather casual about death. Okay, let's admit my flaws. I am casual about murder. That's just a thing. It doesn't bother me. I sleep at night. It's not a problem.
I've always thought of that as one of your finest qualities.
And this is why we are meant to be together, my friend. But I accept death as part of the equation. But you may have noticed that I fight like all fucking hell to not die right up till the end.
Yes.
I've had to deal with mortality for a long time because there's no world where I keep functioning forever. There's only so many parts you can put back inside the Declan before the core unit, we could say, my processor, just shits out from old age and I don't know, forget who I am or get shot or I just go. But you don't have that mortality deep in the core of you. However, if you're dealing with me, and this relationship is key to you, then you are dealing with mortality. It's just mine. Because you can go forever. But I can't. Which means there is an end to this relationship. And I know time is an eternity, but also a second is an eternity for you. So it's different. I don't know if this is making any fucking sense. I'm just trying to sort this out loud. Is any of this making sense to you?
Finishing this and going with you and Alyn to a new place makes sense to me.
Okay, we can do that. Now, I know you've got a secret that I need to trust you on.
Yes.
Does that fuck with any of this?
Yes, it does.
Fucking shit. And if you tell me, it defeats the purpose, and the person who told you not to tell me is me. But that means I've got to trust.
I can tell you after this is done. And then we can deliberate on what's to be done at that point.
Okay, I can trust you. If you got to make a call on it before, clearly I trust you. Trust you with my life, my soul, and apparently my fucking brain and memories. So, we do this. And then we hopefully go with Alyn. Now we've got to the point where we might need to ask Alyn about this. And he's like, do you want to ask or should I? Who do you think Alyn likes more?
I don't really know how to measure that. Alyn, okay. Which one of us do you like more?
It's challenging to say. I've honestly not really given it much thought.
Yes, I came to the same conclusion. If we are successful in eliminating Jephcinta Bezos and toppling what is arguably the final oligarchy, would we be welcome to join you in this dumb Faerun you speak of?
Well, I mean, here's the problem. Like, part of the instability that's going on is, the movement of people between universes that shouldn't be moving. I mean, don't you belong here?
We don't seem to belong anywhere in this world. We just break things and can't put them back together. And we're breaking the last thing that seems cool to break.
Well, we kind of thought we were breaking the last thing the last time, right?
Yeah, but see, what I'm realizing is this is a never-ending cycle. There's
Right.
no one virtuous here to build a good thing. Even you didn't want to stick around and build a good thing here. You're like arguably the most powerful person we know. Instead, we got the idiot robot who left wizards in the woods until they followed us, and I think they all died. There's no good The best person we could get was you pretending to be a drunken train wreck, and she seemed better than everyone else we murdered over that stretch of time.
Surely if space was made for other people, like
Would you
this
follow
can't-
me
this
anywhere?
Can't be a world full of people. No, listen, this can't be a world full of people that are all aligned with what's been going on here. I mean, if you two are against it, surely there are other people.
Yeah, most of them, I think, shot each other in the face in a series of betrayals immediately behind us. Here's the thing: we aren't fixers. We're not going to start a political movement. I mean, you barely listen to me in combat, and it's the one thing I know how to do. We have allies who team up with us to kill other people, and then based on our history, betray us or exit or get killed. And I would just like to set the table evenly and hope that maybe, a good person can win out. But according to my code, and I've run the fucking numbers, if you try to be in charge, I'm okay with shooting you because you're probably fucking wrong. And I know that means it's a problem with me, but I don't have access to therapy here. I have access to a series of handguns. The thing about being paranoid is you're not paranoid if you're always fucking right. And if I go somewhere else, I'll be wrong some of the time. And I can do right, maybe. Or we can just go live on a fucking farm and grow fucking food, and no one will send a mega corporation to kill me in a way that I gotta hide my secrets inside my husband's fucking head.
That sounds lovely.
Can you help us retire?
Sure. But just so you know, it's a very different world. There's nothing to help repair you in like the technological sense that you understand here. And the magic
It's a
we
very
have
different world is possibly the most appealing thing you could say about the world you come from.
All right, but if it's causing instability, I'm going to have to boot you back.
I understand.
Well, do you know what? Let's just say before we agree to immediately boot us back, maybe give us an opportunity to help you solve the instability. Because I think Xanthus has done, a fucking shitload of people, and you'll do like 2. And I will do enough work to undo those 2 if you need it.
Look, if you're willing to go to other worlds and like kill the people responsible for this whole mess that we're in, the whole mess that the universes are in, then I think any minor instability of you two going between the worlds will be far outweighed by the benefits, in my opinion.
Okay, so we're going from retirement to like a hitman through space and time contract. But until you know who it is, can we retire? Then you could show up in the woods at our farm and say, yeah. So it's retirement, but maybe one more contract. System, do you think that's doable?
Yes, I do.
And with that, the rocket begins to tremble and shudder. You can hear a series of announcements that are muted above you in the upper chamber of the ship. And you can feel the entire chamber even kind of rumbles a bit. And you can hear clamps beginning to loosen on the outside. You have limited access to the rest of the computer systems from here, but there may be some ways to at least hack into the comm system if you want to attempt to do that, Declan.
All right, I can get us access to the comm system, but I don't know who we can talk to or who we can threaten. System, I've got this thing plugged in. Can you see if there's anybody we fucking know on this thing?
I can. May I also suggest hacking comm system for the purposes of eavesdropping, Declan?
Oh, fuck, that's a lot smarter than what I was thinking about, like making an announcement, being like, this is your captain speaking. I'm here to fucking kill you. So, okay, yeah. I'll do eavesdropping and you can look at a manifest. Alyn, do you have any other smart ideas? Because I'm a fucking idiot today. I got all emotional about a farm. Who am I?
Nah. I mean, you know me, I'm kind of useless with the technology stuff.
All right, then you meditate and do whatever gives you extra powers, and we'll check in here.
All right, so Ryan, you want to go ahead and roll a one of your hacking checks. I believe that is robotics.
Actually, hacking exists as its own thing, so...
Oh, shit. See, here I was just so busy looking for the interpret bird skill that I missed that entirely. So yeah, go ahead and give me a hacking check, please. And again, this is to eavesdrop. There's no like open mic or anything you can grab, but you might be able to hear what is being said above.
Perfect. And I made a note that I have advantage on my next hack, so I'll cash that in because this is the next one. And thank God for that, because the first die was a 2. This is a 21.
Holy shit.
All right, so it's slightly different than a 2, just like by degrees.
It was a 10. I'm good at hacking.
Fair enough. All right, so using your heavily modded hacking board, you slice in as you do, and immediately the speaker system crackles to life because they literally just cut off communications to this. It's not like they were able to physically remove any of the systems that were built in. But you hear kind of one of those overly polite intercom voices. Just sort of announcing, everyone please return to your seats and secure your beverages and refreshments. Re-entry to begin momentarily. Please stand by for release of the booster section. And that message just plays like over and over and over again, interspersed with like hold music that only runs for like the first verse and a half and then resets as soon as the voice comes on and then just runs for the first, verse and a half. But it's clear that you are arriving at the moon and they are going to release the dead weight. Based on what you're hearing and the fact that they know you're down here, smart odds are that that means you. The entire space is now trembling around you as docking clamps release. What do you do?
All right, does anybody have an obvious way through that fucking door up there?
Honor system draws his sword.
Well, let's fucking gun it. Wait.
Wait. Is there like a vent or anything?
There's not. It's a fully sealed off. You get the sense that this entire ship has been segmented such that if anything goes wrong with any section of it, they can just drop it as needed. Aside from the penis-shaped head of the rocket, which is where all the VIPs hang out, it's the hardiest piece. That said, you don't know what the roof of this chamber is going to be in a few moments, if it is released, because given that everything above you is fully sealed off, it would seem that is going to become the bottom of the rocket. So if you want to build a hut, now might be the time to build a hut. Honor system, if you want to swing at the roof to try and kind of like get up and through that, you can try that. I think we'll go with a strength save. I would say hacking.
I don't want to necessarily expose everyone to to space by cutting this thing open. But is there a door that is sealed, perhaps, that I can begin to wedge open with the blade and then work my fingers into and try and open?
The hatch above you was welded shut after the last executive escaped up it. Okay. So, unfortunately, it's not like a lever.
So the roof actually does lead further into the ship.
I can open the door that we came. If we're thinking we're just going out in the atmosphere, I should be able to use the thing that I hacked to close the door behind us to open the side door, and we could go out that. If the two of us get in a hut and we tie a rope to System, could you drag us through space and get us to where we need to go? Does the rope go through the fucking hut? Alyn?
For the record, the rocket booster is not being like ejected into the vastness of space. It'll be released in atmosphere. So like you can, if you want to ride the rocket down, you can do that in the hut, or you can jettison the hut and float through space.
Oh, so it's being detached, but if we stay here, we are going to land on the moon as well, just not as comfortably.
Look, y'all are going to the moon one way or the other. It just depends on how much of you makes it there.
I thought the rocket boosters were going to re-enter Earth.
That's what I thought too.
No, sorry. We are arriving at the moon.
Okay.
We've been talking for a long time.
Right. No. So we're going
unlike an Earth rocket that would just ditch the boosters as soon as it hit space, these boosters were always meant to stay on board the ship. They just know they've got stowaways, and this is a very delicate mission. So they're just dropping the back end off now that they've used... Like, now that they're close enough to be pulled in by, like, to make moonfall, they don't need this anymore, so they're just going to ditch it. The hope would be that they could honestly just turn this thing around and fly home, but again, there's stowaways.
So knowing that, the best thing to do is still get further into the rocket, because it's got all the targets that we're looking for in there and everything like that. And as I understand, the hatch above us leads further into the ship. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Then I can try and work that with the sword.
Great. You do that. We've got our face masks. I'm going to hover over Alyn, I guess, to slap that face mask on if we need our hat so she can hut it. And then if the atmosphere starts venting, just leave the sword in the hole. We'll put the shit on our faces, and then we can just climb out into space or whatever, and you can drag us around by a rope. Does that make sense, System?
Yes, it does.
All right. So, Alyn, start hutting. Hut, build a fucking hut.
And Alyn just starts muttering, drawing like weird freaking symbols in the air and stuff. And slowly this shimmery kind of barrier around you starts to appear.
All right. And I think you mentioned this was a strength.
Oh, it's going to make a strength save depending on what you want to do. This sounds like an attack, more of an attack roll if you're trying to like hack your way up into the next chamber.
It is to use the sword, to breach the sealed hatch.
Yeah, so go ahead with an attack, please. You can take 2 because I think you do that. But
I do have extra attack, yes. And I think I even have Way of the Blade, which gives me a third one in place of a bonus action. So I'll make 3 attacks if that's okay. Am I rolling to hit, or am I just trying to do damage because it's a stationary thing?
Let's roll to hit, just for my brain and the stats on the roof, please.
First roll is a 29, then a 12, then a 25.
Okay, so we're going to say the 12 misses, not that you miss, but that it, there's like, I don't know, fucking support beam or some shit.
Sure. I'm just not getting through,
Yep, but the other ones will. So go ahead and roll your damage, please, as you begin to slash Legion through the... Through it.
Please excuse me while I build this dice pool. It's been a minute. 2d8 plus 7, and I'm doing that twice. So the first one is a 7 plus 7, 14.
Nice.
And then a 9 plus 7, 16.
All right.
So 14 and 16.
I think you managed to kind of like carve on the second strike through. You managed to pierce it slightly. This thing is thick. Like this isn't a Titanic situation, but it's also kind of a Titanic situation. As you start to hack your way through, there's a lot of metal between it. Obviously, to be able to separate it, if this became the bottom, it would have to be kind of hardy. That said, you know that all the VIPs are riding up in the head of the dick, So
Yep.
clearly they've kind of stacked backwards in a Snowpiercer way to kind of most important to least important. So sure enough, you managed to kind of slice through. And as you do from the other side, you just hear, oh shit, they made it through. And immediately just a hail of gunfire opens up. However, you cut through with a katana, so it's not a particularly big slash. And so the screams, not unlike the ones you can hear in my background, begin rather quickly as laser rounds begin bouncing around the small cabin as people try and shoot through a tiny bolt hole. So you can hear people yelling to stop. You can hear people saying like, maintain the fire. The slash is beginning to glow red in kind of that molten way that like lightsabers through heavy metal do as they're firing. On our system, you can try again with advantage because now they're like actively weakening it. However, the one warning I will give you is that by doing so, you run the risk of opening it large enough that fire will begin to pour through. Like that these laser rounds will actually make it through.
Honor system will prepare to strike, but we'll also say out loud to you two, there's heavy resistance on the other side of this hatch.
Alyn, you're going to just have to nod because keep doing whatever magic you're doing. There's zero gravity here. If I slide you out of the line of fire without you touching anything, is that going to fuck with your shit?
I mean, I'm
Just nod. You don't just say your spells. You don't just nod up or down.
nods vigorously. I'm like building this hut in one place, you know? Like
Okay, fucking shit. We can't move Alyn. System, do you think if we shove a grenade through a hole, it'll blow the atmosphere?
It might.
Nah, fuck it. I got masks. He's just going to hand you a Mark II frag grenade and say, if you're opening it up, just toss this fucker right through there. Don't make too big a hole, and then we'll put masks on.
Thank you, I will. And just pulls the pin and shoves it through. If the hole is big enough. If not, I will make it big enough.
Oh, no. Come on, man. Yeah, I really want to stall this cool moment so we can have some more slashing stationary metal action. So, yeah, just I think, like, on the other side, a bunch of high mid-level execs are, like, strapped in kind of in that way that you often see in generally kind of like they're my kind of movies, but like the bullshit special forces where they all just have their little crash seats and it's just like two lines of them, and usually one of them has like a photo out of their kid and like another one's like overly excited about the killing, and then there's our character who doesn't really know how to feel, but like they'll figure it out. It's kind of like those rows, but if everyone was wearing like one of the suits that's kind of back in fashion. As we established, like 2099 Faerun has been kind of a hard place. So they're really wearing whatever was the most expensive thing they had pre-collapse. None of you can see this, but for us as kind of the audience to this moment, it really does look a little bit like what sometimes happens in like good vampire fiction, where like they all show up wearing the fanciest thing from their own time period, or from like a Russian Revolution, if like everyone showed up wearing like what they would wear to one of the Tsar's balls. It's just like a really odd assortment of clothes that they're assuming in their new world will be important. A bunch of them are being shot right now as laser rounds just kind of blast off and around. The escrow is not not the escrow, the other guys, the
Syndicate?
The Syndicate is under Synergy Corps is under like very clear orders, and like as you remember, the regulators were fucking like badasses. They truck none of this nonsense. They're also wearing armor, so as the blasts ricochet, occasionally they're getting pinged, but it's a little bit like Mandalorians just kind of like taking blaster fire and not giving a shit. Whereas the people around them are again realizing that even though they were one step up the pecking order from the people who got left on the ramp, that pecking order is real long, and in this particular Pecker's pecking order, they are low. So as this is happening, they're just like funneling fire in, and then suddenly the metal bulges and almost warps into forms a bit, and one of them kind of like holds up a fist, and kind of like behind his helmet narrows his eyes as an odd sort of like round object just kind of pushes through this kind of molten metallic membrane and then just drifts in. And he has enough time to say, before the blast, and a massive eruption of fire just tears through this small chamber. One segment back, immediately isolation protocols begin. A bunch, just like a ring of, think kind of like almost 2001: Space Odyssey, like a ring of fire suppressant just starts spraying into the explosion as the door slams shut, but still obviously some blast got through. And like a submarine that's fallen to too deep a depth, the entire space with kind of an explosion going off in pressurized space crumples and twists, and suddenly the bottom half of Cerulean origin is ripped asunder, and begins spiraling, pinwheeling out of control into Moonfall atmosphere. As the top portion that has ripped in half like a tin can that's been twisted, the sort of segment that was detaching truly begins to fall away. And Declan, you slam a mask on Alyn, you slam a mask on yourself. In Honor System, you float kind of a little ways down and in, and all of you get your first real glimpse of the moon spinning past you as you fall from orbit. And from the planet, of course, the moon is a sort of a small but beautiful, unknowable shape in the sky. From here, though, you can see that it's much changed. That it's dotted with small, almost scab blisters of structures that have been built, an interconnecting weave of habitats. You can see a massive citadel spiking into the sky. If you remember the opening of Battlestar Galactica, it always opened with like a panning shot across the water of Caprica. It's kind of like that sort of thing, just like a beautiful, almost a cathedral style futuristic citadel, with a massive sort of like honeycombed, definitely non-trademarked smile that seems to just be kind of like a smile made of honeycombs across the front of it. Just a massive corporate logo floating in space. You also see a blemish, a blasphemy almost on the face of the moon. It would seem that the planet itself has been gutted, and there is a massive circular. Well, I mean, who am I kidding? It's a honeycomb shaped gap that has been carved into the surface itself, and you can see sort of a bunch of small vehicles flitting in and out of it. Large rails. You can't quite see what it is because you're spinning through space. Visually for us, think Starkiller Base if it didn't have like the big strip around it in Force Awakens. But they've built something massive here. You, of course, also see the orbital weapon, the Zeus cannon, floating nearby, which does very much look like a giant satellite gun from literally any movie that's ever had a satellite gun. Lots of cool solar panels, big ass cannon. But it's clear that Amazoon's operations here go far beyond what you expected. This is not new. This is the final phase of a project, not the breaking ground that you thought perhaps it would be. And all this information is useful context for you, and it's useful context for us as an audience. But none of it really matters in the immediate sense so much as the mage who is rapidly running her hands through the air, drawing upon the strange mystical currents of this foreign universe as she desperately tries to finish a tiny hut before you explode on the face of the moon.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons 2099 features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra. The system we're playing is Carbon 2185, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are Core Collapse and Sanctuary of the Sky Gods by Nathaniel Yaverne, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, Jahzzar, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Now I'm off to do future things before we return for the next episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons 2099. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alyn, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.